Coming to you live from the Hellmouth. It's the Popular Cinema Podcast. I'm your co-host Payne,
And I'm Bill.
and welcome to episode 39. I love that song. I love our opening music. I just love it.
Thank you, freeware on the internet.
Yeah, don't you start jamming to that every time that song comes on? I'm like,
Actually, I think we're probably due for like a new tune. What do you think?
oh,
Maybe
is
every
this?
once in a while we should change it up.
Part of it is you have to let the fans. You have to create that whole like bonding, and playing the same song creates a bond. It probably every time we play the song, there's probably a chemical reaction from the people listening to it, going, "Ah, that's popular cinema. They know us. They're used to us. It's a
Okay.
theme song. That's why it's called
All
a
right.
theme."
Okay, fair enough.
By the
We'll
way, are
keep
you
it.
going to help locate our new theme song like you're supposed to locate our new?
Wow.
Did you
We're still doing that, huh?
did you locate our new news sound?
No, I did not.
It's been 2 weeks now. Like I said for the previous 3 episodes, you
The
keep
period.
saying you're going to do it and you don't.
I forgot. I'm a busy person. I have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of, adulting to do over here.
If you were so busy, what did you do this weekend?
We watched Twin Peaks and Agents of Shield and made dinner and went to bed early.
That's- I can see why you didn't get to it.
What did you do this weekend?
Let's see here. Friday. I did something Friday, but I can't remember it.
Must have been very
Oh,
memorable.
I went to a basketball game. You know LeBron James?
Yeah. Yeah.
I went back to see a basketball game down in Akron at the LeBron James Arena or the high school gym. And I haven't been to a high school basketball game probably since 1988, 89. So that was kind of interesting to be there with all the preteens and the crowd and watching kids play. It's,
Was
it's
this a
kind of,
date or you just went to see what was going on?
nah, I went with my woman's kid.
Okay.
It was like senior night. So,
Okay.
you know, that's the stuff you got to do. And I think on Saturday, I went to some sort of, there was an event for a parent who's trying to raise funds for an adaptive park for her child. Her child has special needs. And so it was a little bit of a fundraiser. Then I went
I'm
to
bored.
dinner after.
Okay. All right. Really?
do you
I
do
mean,
you see a difference in our weekends? I'm doing quality, like life changing events, and you're over
the
there rolling
only
around with.
reason that you're doing that is because you're at that phase of the relationship where you have to pretend to be interested in the other person's shit that they want to do. I'm way past that, so there's no game playing over here. With you, it's like, oh, yes, you want to go to some wine tasting out in Napa Valley? I'll buy plane tickets. No questions asked. Yeah. In 2 years from now, you're going to be like, hell no, I'm playing my video games and I'm going to watch a movie from Netflix. Either you're in or you're out. So, you can keep up this little act while it's going on, but we all know where it's going to end up.
Well, we have Logan coming up this week. You're coming into town.
Yes, I am, which we have not really fully discussed, by the way, so we'll have to do that
Ooh,
off air.
ooh, I meant to do that. I
Um,
meant to look for tickets
I looked this
earlier.
morning; they're still not up.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Um, for the fans know that we have a favorite theater. We won't give out the name just in case anybody doesn't like us and wants to show up and start like popping caps.
Really, that's
But
not paranoid at all.
but they never seem at this theater to have tickets up anytime soon, like more than 2 weeks. It's a week away from the movie, and the show times are not up.
Anytime your movie theater is in a strip mall, you might have problems getting like all the latest accoutrement. Just so you're aware, It's because your favorite movie theater is in a strip mall. That should have been my first clue.
But we both like it, though. You like the
Yes,
theater.
I do like it. I'm just saying it's, like the rest of Cleveland could use some updating.
But we don't sit in the handicap seats anymore, do we?
They don't let us buy them anymore, so.
Okay, well, that's good. Did you ever tell that story where you kicked the one lady out with the broken arm out of her seat?
She didn't have a broken arm. She was pregnant.
Was she pregnant?
I think she was
I think
pregnant.
she had a broken foot. She had a broken foot.
It doesn't matter. She was in my seat. That's why we buy reserved seats because we don't have to worry about this argument.
You're aware that you kicked her out of your seat to push her over one more.
Hey, you know what? She should have sat in the right seat. She wouldn't have been asked to move.
They also got up and left afterwards and moved like several seats over from us because I think they were irritated by you.
And no, they proceeded to heckle during the movie for the rest of the movie.
Did you call the management on them?
I did. Because they were
Wow.
heckling us.
I don't recall that. It's always an adventure with you in a movie theater. Anyway, so we've got Logan. Are you excited about coming up in Chateau
I
Pain?
am. I am. Is my room going to be ready?
I
has
will make
the
sure that the
has
sheets are washed for you.
Okay.
I kind of finished the painting up in the crack room, also known as Studio. How about I call it Studio P? That sounds kind of nasty. Studio
I mean,
P.
really, that's what it smells like. It looks like should smell like that, but.
Okay. Well,
And if Ferg is in there, it just might be Studio P. So
I've cleaned it up. I finished painting the walls. It's looking plush, actually. It's looking plush.
you know what?
So
I'll be the judge of that because your definition of plush might not jive with mine. Sometimes when you say things, they seem to be somewhat exaggerated or through your rose-tinted glasses. So I'll be the judge of that if it's plush. Have you replaced the crack house blind on the window?
Oh no. Those
Oh,
things are
okay.
still bit left, right, north, and south, all over the place. So
It looks like somebody was being murdered on the inside of that window, and that was their last escape route was through that window. So they were trying to pull the shades open to get out, and you just left it like that.
nobody can hear your screams. So tonight's a big night. We got the Oscars.
The what? I'm not familiar. I pay no attention.
I find it odd that what we need to get from superfan Melissa is a wave of her just going like, I don't know, have her screaming or just going to be like, let me guess, popular cinema, but you're not going to be discussing the biggest night in cinema.
Yeah, you know why? Because here's exactly why. Because the name of the show says all you need to know. Popular Cinema Podcast. None of the movies that are nominated have been seen by more than 12 people. So that's why we're not covering
I did see Manchester by the Sea this weekend.
it. Okay. That reminds me, I wanted to ask you about our Saturday night movie plans. Because I was thinking we could go rent maybe Moonlight. Because isn't it out on Tuesday?
It is.
What do you think?
a coming of age drama of a black man. Ugh, fuck.
Really?
Yeah. Well, oddly enough, it did win the Best Feature and Best Director in the Independent Spirit Awards.
Isn't that like being king of the trash heap? The independent spirits, no one puts those on their mantle. What'd you win? Oh, it's some kind of bowling trophy from high
What are you
school.
talking about? If I made a movie and I won any type of award from anyone, I would put it all over my mantle, my fireplace, on my desk. I put it everywhere.
Okay, I'm just saying it's not an Oscar. That's really what I'm just trying to say. It's not even close to an Oscar. It's not even.
Listen, I
in the
tell you
ballpark
what,
of Oscar.
I have no trouble watching Moonlight. In fact, I will move it further down in my queue to make sure I don't get it, so I can make room for other movies on
Why
my.
don't you just put it on your queue and make sure it comes by Friday?
No, because I probably, I don't like to have these movies in my house. I lose money when these movies sit on my desk. I get
Let
them
me get
in,
this
I
right.
get them out.
So you don't want to order the movie because it's going to sit in your house for 3 days from Tuesday to Friday before you get a chance to watch it. And it's going to put you behind on the rotation because you're going to be one down from your Netflix borrowing limit.
Exactly. You know, Netflix is already throttling me anyway because I send the movies. As soon as I get them, I watch them and send them back. So
Right.
they
So
seem
maybe
to
you could
slow
use a
down.
couple days slowdown. So they like maybe get confused and decide, oh, well, maybe he's not doing that anymore. We'll go ahead and ship his shit on time now. I mean, the mailman is probably like, really with this asshole every
Let's
time he
just
comes to
face
your
it.
house.
Up here in the Hellmouth, Moonlight will be readily available at all family videos and red boxes.
What's so funny is that up there in the Hellmouth, there's still a thing called family video. That's just
So, you know, I just have a feeling somewhere like Superfan Melissa is just rolling her eyes at the fact that we will not be discussing the Oscars. I need a wave of her saying something like that's some bullshit because I would add it to my soundboard. Anyway, did you know this? I know this is not really on the script, but I was looking this up because I saw that, you know, the Independent Spirit Awards came out with their winners. Do you know that we can join? I mean, we talked about this, it seems like maybe like 20 episodes ago, that we can become members of the Spirit Award Board. Um, let me tell you how much. For 95 bucks, you can become a member of the Film Independent Award voting. I don't know what you call it.
quite honestly, if we were going to do something like that, which I actually have thought about, although the independent spirits are something I really don't care for, I would join the Saturn Awards, which you
Yes,
can
which
also buy.
is only $25, which gets you to vote on 16 categories, or for $40, which gets you the opportunity to vote on 35 categories,
Is
which
that the
I knew
Spirit
you.
Awards or the Saturns?
That's the Saturn Awards because I knew
Okay,
you were going to go there.
right. Okay. I mean, I thought about it, but you know, I wish they'd start broadcasting those. I'd watch those every freaking year. Totally.
Yeah, it seems like that would be up your alley. I know we kind of went over that whole like the nominees and the winters or the winners, but that seems right up your category. I would like to do that. Maybe we should pull together the PCP, check out our account and see what we can come up with to see if we can start voting.
Um, yeah, that sounds cool.
Okay. Anyway, well, let's move on here. Do we have everything is good? You're feeling good? Your man's coming home tonight, so you want to make sure this show moves fairly quickly. Am I correct?
Yes, we want to move briskly. We don't want to dilly dally because that's part of our new mandate anyway.
I,
Really.
I,
It's
I'm
like
actually,
an assault to the senses when you play that.
I'm
It
actually
is like
picturing,
loud and irritating.
I'm picturing superfan Nadia crashing her vehicle as soon as that noise comes on.
That's nice because we have so many, we can really afford to lose listeners with your ridiculous sound effects.
Oh, you know what? I wanted to do a shout out. I want to do a thank you for some of our downloads. Right now, Bill, we're about to surpass our downloads from last month. We've been on an upswing over the past several episodes. It's been an upswing, and we're
You told
about
me
to
that.
shatter, you know, for our PCP, our records. And I mean, we've got downloads in Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, obviously Ohio, London, Florida. It's just it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So a little shout out to those people who are downloading.
I just sent you a text. Did you get it? Do you have your phone?
My phone is downstairs and my
Ugh.
tablet is more than an arm's length away.
Okay, I need you to go pick up the tablet. There's something that you need to see on there.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm
Okay.
going to be doing that right now.
Okay.
Hope this doesn't interfere with the radio five wise. Okay. Oh, all right.
We don't need to discuss it. I just want something for you to know.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's fine. You know what?
Continue.
All right, well, let's move on. We have a bit of a script adjustment. That's hilarious. You know, it's almost as somehow I send you the script early enough, I believe.
I was taking a nap. I was up late last night, and I was taking a nap.
Okay. All right. Well, obviously, since today is February 26th, I mean, it just broke this morning that Bill Paxton has passed away due to complications from a surgery at the young age of 61.
Yeah, that's sad.
Uh, yeah, very much so. It just came across while I was fixing my breakfast here, and let me pull this up here. Apparently, did you know that there was one of those fun facts that Bill Paxton was there on the morning of JFK's what do you call it? Assassination? Assassination?
No, what do you mean there? Like in
He,
Texas, in the car? What?
yeah, he was 8 years old. He wasn't in the car. He was in the crowd. There's like a
Oh,
picture
really?
of him being held up along the motorcade route.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, I will read something. Let's see. I forgot where I pulled it from. Where some of the movies that Bill Paxton is. I'm going to pull up his IMDb here in a second. But from the Terminator to Weird Science to Aliens to Predator 2, Titanic, True Lies, Apollo 13, Tombstone, Twister, A Simple Plan, One False Move, Edge of Tomorrow, some TV shows. I hear he's on your favorite show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at
He
times.
was in the first season, yes. He was the big bad of
O-
season one.
Okay, Big Love. Anyway, when I think about it, it's a huge loss, Bill. It's a huge
Well, yeah.
loss.
I mean, it's particularly because, of his age, you know, 61 is pretty young. And unfortunately, I don't know what type of surgery it was, but I guess, I mean, they always tell you there's always some kind of risk when you have any kind of surgery. So I guess he was just unfortunate.
I That's the crazy part about it because that's exactly what I keep thinking about. Like, part of me wants to kind of know, like if it was a heart surgery or something else really invasive, because then my mind might sit there and go like, I could see how that could happen, but I would hate to have to be like, like a foot surgery or something else, like just some sort of weird thing that you don't expect
Right.
something that dire to happen.
Well, I
But
mean, I
I
hope
mean,
I hope it wasn't something that could have been avoided, like the Joan Rivers thing. So
oh, okay. I mean, he leaves behind a couple kids and his second wife, but you come into this. Do you remember the Atlanta Child Murders, the TV miniseries?
barely.
That was a very cool series, but apparently he was in that back in 1985. And this was like the growth of my movie love right here. Weird Science, you remember that one?
Yeah,
Commando, Aliens, Private Hudson.
I probably would say you were asking if what your favorite role of his would be. That probably would be my favorite. Was Hudson
Which one?
from Aliens?
World
Hello.
Express elevator to hell. Going down.
That's cool. Did you just
That's
have that,
the
or did you pull that from somewhere?
that's the Bill Paxton soundboard.
Oh, they have that. They do
Apparently
now.
so. Yeah, here's one. Here you go. Hold on.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
That's kind of a sad quote for today.
Well, did we see Aliens together? Wasn't that one of the first movies we saw in the theater?
No, it was 1986. I don't think so. I mean, it's possible because we would have been friends then, but do you think we did? That was so long
Yeah,
ago.
we saw Aliens in the movie
Are you
theater,
sure?
nonetheless. Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't have a recollection of that.
Yeah. Usually you're the keeper of the record, but it's odd that you don't seem to remember that one.
I mean,
Okay.
the timing works out, but I just don't remember it. Who drove us? Well, I mean, if you remember the experience, you don't remember anything about it.
No, I don't remember anything about it. No,
So
absolutely.
then, okay. Okay. I
But Batman was
remember.
before Aliens, correct?
No, Jay, Batman was 1989. That was after high school.
Did we not see Aliens together?
We could have, the timing would work, but I don't really recall it, to be honest with you, and I would think that I would recall that. So I'm going to go with no.
Maybe that
Maybe
was
it
my
was your
other
other black best friend.
Yeah, maybe that was the case. But
I
anyway,
mean, anyway.
so you think Aliens is your quintessential when you think of Bill Paxton?
I think so. I mean, that part was sort of off the chain. At least he played it. He kind of played the hell out of it. Really, he really. You know, I would say that was probably one of his landmark roles.
Yeah, Hudson. He was very sarcastic in Aliens. He was a wise. He was a wise ass, a wisecracker.
Right.
I mean, when I look through his IMDb page, there's just so many like movies that I consider to be like TNT, like movies they play on a Sunday that he's in that I watch. I mean, Tombstone. I mean, some things are just campy goodness, like Trespass with Ice Cube.
Twister
Oh,
is one of Chris's favorites.
what's that?
Twister.
Twister.
Yeah. I'm not a huge
You
fan
know,
of that movie.
that's one movie I actually have not watched, Bill.
You've never seen Twister, really?
No, I just never
Great to
interested
you
me.
now, but
It never interested me.
I mean, it's a movie about tornadoes. It's kind of not really deep or anything.
I got it. It just
Tornado
never
Chasers,
like.
actually. I forgot about
Do
Big
you-
Love.
I never saw Big Love. Is that the
Was that
whole
before
like
you fell in love with HBO?
Sister Wives?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you ever see Frailty?
I did. I'm not a fan.
Oh, you're not a fan.
I
Interesting.
am not.
Okay. Well, anyway, Edge of Tomorrow. There's just a ton of things he's been in. Ton of things. And he probably had another good 10 to 15 years or more of like filling in. I don't know what's going to happen to that TV series of his, Training Day.
Was he still in it? I mean, was he still filming it?
Well, I'm not really sure. Let's see here.
What network is it on? Fox?
Yeah, let's see here. He's playing Frank Rourke. It premieres on, I don't know if it premieres, but the next episode is March 2nd.
What network is it on?
can't tell.
CBS?
CBS, yes. Does that mean something to you that that's on CBS?
No, I thought I've heard of it, but I couldn't remember where I've heard of it from, but probably because it's on my CBS All Access app.
Okay. Anyway, are you gonna do you have your little lightsaber timer Death Star thing?
I do, but I kind of figured we could just try to moderate ourselves without it, since it probably was just a little bit
Okay.
rude.
All
So-
right. Can I play the noise? Can I play the noise, the news alert noise?
Do you have to?
Moving on.
Oh, that. Okay. All right.
Is that better? Is that better
Yes.
for you?
Yes.
I can play something from the Bill Paxton soundboard to end each clip.
That'd be fine.
All right. Anyway, so we've got some more fan mail here, Bill. I wanted to read this one over here before we get into some other things here from Superfan Nadia. Will you indulge me, Bill? Popular Cinema Podcast has given me life with the past two episodes, number 37 and number 38. You guys are bringing the content, chemistry, and comedic chops on so many levels. I am still getting my length, but I feel that the time limits you two have been working to set for each topic. I am also getting more content. Pain, the news break soundbite, was beyond annoying, so I felt a Bill's annoyance with it. I guess it wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't so loud. Seriously, I swerved my car a couple times when you played it because I was not expecting it. However, Turnabout was fair play this past week when Bill used a Star Wars timer and would cut the topic short. You two had me cracking up. And the Fredericks of Hollywood revelation was hilarious to the 10th power because it really showcased the authenticity and longevity of your friendship. And since everyone is going off on a tangent about the award show that shall not be named, and yes, I am talking about the Oscars, I do have one question for you two. On another podcast that I listened to, the host adamantly feel that the Logan movie will be a gateway, I guess based on the storyline for Black Panther next year to be a serious Oscar contender. Even what I think is an awesome cast for Black Panther, I am not sure I would go that far. But I also didn't think this past presidential election would turn out the way it did either. What are your thoughts about it as far as Logan being a gateway for other comic book movies having a chance at an Oscar nomination? All right, I hope you guys have a great week. Superfan Nadia.
Well,
The
thank you
floor
for
is
writing,
yours,
Nadia.
Bill.
Say what now? Oh, okay. I think it would be great if Logan gets an Oscar nomination. I think the acting chops of the cast certainly would allow for such a thing in the realm of possibility. I think Hugh Jackman is, although I would consider him to be underrated. I don't know if the part. I don't know if they'll go that far. Patrick Stewart maybe has a little bit better a chance. I think just because I don't know his longevity in the industry is longer. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of this how I really believe they Oscar voters think and work, and it obviously doesn't necessarily have anything to do, in my opinion, with who actually deserves it based on the talent and the quality of the material. However, um, the industry I think is overdue for an Oscar nomination. I think it's just like the fantasy genre was overdue when Lord of the Rings won and was nominated. I think the comic book movie industry is certainly, like I said, overdue. So I would be thrilled, although I'm not going to even let it enter my mind at this point that it would ever happen. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that because Logan is basically coming in right at the beginning of the awards nomination cycle, that it's going to be a whole year before the nominations actually come out. And the farther away from the nominations that a movie is, the less likely it is to be remembered by the time the nominations are released. Aside from the fact that it's a comic book movie, those are the things I think are going to stand in its way.
Okay. Well, a couple points here. I don't know what other podcast she's listening to outside of popular cinema. That's a demerit. That's one. And two, there is absolutely no fucking way will there ever be a superhero movie nominated for a fucking Oscar.
Oh, I disagree. I completely disagree. I think you're really, really off on that.
I mean,
It's going to happen.
oh,
It
no, no,
just
no.
depends on which one.
I have the floor, Bill. I have the floor.
That's fine. Sorry.
It's not going to happen. I'll tell you why. Because superhero films in general, I believe the Oscars look at them as lowbrow entertainment. Okay. Um, I think what you have is you have certain concepts, certain movies that could actually pique their interest. Like you consider Unbreakable a superhero movie, right?
Well, it is, yeah.
Yeah, that has a better chance of getting an Oscar nomination because it has more of a real people, real world type of drama and intensity. But in terms of people flying around in capes and shooting beams out of their eyes and giving out one-liners, there's no chance. I.e., Black Panther. I don't care about how great the cast is, but if you're going to have somebody running around in some sort of Black Panther suit and some guy whose name is Manape, they're not going to look at that. It's just the way it is. Whether you like it or not, they're not going to consider that. I don't care how good Guardians of the Galaxy is, but with a character and a raccoon and Drax, it's not going to happen. I guess that's point one. You're better off getting an Oscar for some sort of special effects, CGI, or what have you. But, and I guess the other thing is a lot of these movies, the superhero things, like Marvel for say, they're not coming out with anything that says that they're original. The whole concept is a very like formula. You introduce the character, you give the origin story, you introduce a villain, and then they battle at the end, and then the hero beats the villain. The stories are all the same. It's just different packaging with different heroes, and it might be a little bit in different tone. but there's nothing that's coming out that somehow this is groundbreaking or this is somehow changes the whole thing.
You mean
Now,
groundbreaking in the
Logan,
way like that La La Land is groundbreaking for movie musicals that have been done for 4 decades? Like that kind of
well, no,
groundbreaking?
but that's what the Oscars pick. They pick those type of movies. It's the same thing. They pick something that's about Hollywood, or they'll pick something like Argos, or they'll pick something Manchester by the Sea because there's some sort of heavy drama, heavy acting and intensity. That's what they do. That's what the Oscars do, like it or not. And so none of these movies fit into that. Now Logan has the trappings of maybe somehow giving it a certain like side eye, but something like a Deadpool, a Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man and the Wasp, those things just aren't on their it's not going to be served at their dinner. And now I understand people may not like it, but that's just a reality. And if you don't like it, that's why you go to the Saturn Awards. But there's no chance that somehow they're going to be changing that unless somehow you come out with something that completely is what I imagine the one thing that would change it is they came out with a comic book movie and it would have to be something on an unbreakable scale that somehow turns the whole thing on a genre. Ant-Man and the Wasp and Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther with a character named Ant-Man are not going to be the ones. I mean, you had a closer chance when you had something like The Dark Knight that actually gave it a little bit more gravitas. But outside of that, I mean, I guess you could, but with the slate of movies coming up outside of Logan, it's a fat chance that's going to happen.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. Well, kudos to Superfan Nadia for writing us. I really appreciate that. Once again, I still don't think our fans are using our phone number, Bill. Do you know what our phone number is?
I do not.
I believe it's 802-35 PCP35. How can you be a host of the show and not know our fucking number?
Because my domain is the Twitter account. So I know the Twitter account and I know the email address. I don't really pay attention to the phone number because A, I didn't make it, and B, I don't recall because we didn't get any. Really. Um, I'm just going to add a little something to your Oscar thoughts real quickly here because we do need to move on to the next topic because Daddy has some things to do. Um, I disagree with you about the Oscars eventually nominating a superhero movie. Now, I agree with you that it's not.
Time's up.
Okay, so I agree with you that it's not going to be, a Marvel film or some of these larger scale action-oriented productions. But somebody somewhere is going to do a superhero movie that's going to give people at the Oscars something. It's the law of averages. They're making so many of them, and there are so many in the pipeline, and they are so popular right now that I think somebody someplace is going to put a spin on it that's going to be more palatable to the Oscar voters. And I think eventually, just like Lord of the Rings, it will break through, and that'll be considered,
Okay,
a big
we're
moment
going to move on.
for the
I
summer.
agree with you, Bill. I was kind of strong at the beginning. I guess I should tailor my thought on it is that if I'm going to Logan, I don't know why Logan would be considered a gateway. I haven't seen it yet. I would consider Logan to actually, based on what I'm looking at in trailers alone, I would have a better chance of going. I can see why that would be nominated over something like Deadpool. I don't
Oh,
think Black
absolutely.
Panther. I don't think Black Panther is going to look like Logan. I don't know, but I just have a feeling it's not. It's going to look like, you know, Age of Ultron type of thing, and I just don't think that's what they look for. I just don't think that's the type of thing they look for. But if you give me something like Unbreakable, something that sort of looks like Logan, I think you get the people from the Oscars to take notice. But
We'll see what
outside of that,
happens next year. We'll see if this Oscars Not So White thing continues on past this one Oscar year that it's made such a strong showing at. And, if it does, then some of the people who are in that movie, are very well regarded in the industry. So, it's
maybe you
possible.
can start. Maybe you can start a new hashtag like Oscars not so heroic or something. I don't know.
That's possible.
Okay, all right. Anyway,
Okay.
I'm not going to play that annoying noise. It's time
Thank you,
for
Jesus.
our what? What?
I said thank you, Jesus.
Hmm. It's time for oh shit, what now?
I thought we already answered that with Bill Paxton's death today. Can it get much worse than that?
I'm sorry. Let's.
Hello?
Oh wait. Yeah.
Whoopie fucking do.
You forgot the segue song. Music. Or clip. It was delayed.
What clip is that?
The one you just played. But it took you like a minute to Yeah, not that one. No thanks.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so apparently, I know you're happy. Matt Reeves has been officially named director of Batman.
I'm happy because, like I said to you when we discussed this earlier this week, when it happened, DC needs some PR help. And I think this is going to definitely shore up their confidence of fanboys who have been really trolling them about the difficulties they've been having getting some of their properties off the starting block. So, somebody that's given them proven blockbuster after blockbuster and is a fanboy favorite is certainly not going to hurt their rep. So I'm glad that they're finally getting somebody that people aren't going to bitch about, and we can freaking move forward with this movie already.
Every time, just the fact that we're starting these little quick hitters, I'm laughing to myself because I keep thinking of Superfan Melissa going, "It's the fucking Oscars tonight. God damn it!" And you're talking about Batman.
Yes. When the Oscars, we've covered this, so we know
I
why
know.
we don't talk about them.
I'm glad that Matt Reeves has been officially named a director. I agree with you that it's very positive news. And I was just thinking that rumor has it they were considering Ridley Scott and Fede Alvarez, who, as you know, did the remake of Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, two movies that I thought were kind of unique and original. And I think he's got an interesting career ahead of him. I like the pedigree of the people that they were trying to choose. Like they seem like they were picking directors that have unique visions and unique talents. And the fact that Reeves is on board, it's hard not to be excited as to where he could possibly take the project. I think it's a good move on their part.
I mean, really, any of these three people would have probably given them the same kind of um, shoring up of their street cred that we're talking about. I mean, these are quality people all around. And I think that it also goes to prove that, there's a lot of this talk of DC is dead at Warner Brothers. And if, the Batman doesn't go through or the Flash doesn't go through, then at some point Warner Brothers is just going to give up on the whole cinematic universe concept. I don't think that you get people of the level of Ridley Scott or um, Matt Reeves or even Fede Alvarez involved in your discussion for your movie as something they would even want to do if you're really, kind of desperate or that people, the talent feels that you're not really trying to put in your best effort. So I think this talk of DC winding up to, exit the stage is really not accurate.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Oh, it's back. I missed it.
I turned the volume down. I turned the
It
volume
still
down.
sounds like ass, but okay. I mean,
Here's a big old Paxton. Let's see what this one is. Hold on. Part of these I don't do a little test run.
The Booze Hounds return.
the what? The what?
The Booze Hounds Return. That's
What is
from
that
Weird
from?
Science.
Oh,
Weird Science.
I like Weird Science. I own Weird Science. It's not one of my favorite John Hughes movies. I would consider it lesser John Hughes.
What was her name? What was her name? Kelly LeBrock? She was
Yeah,
married
yeah.
to Steven Seagal.
Yeah, yeah. She's the one that turned all like not so good looking in her later years.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
you look up. You look her up, and you tell me.
You know what? I'm not going to say anything because that's just mean, and I'm not going to be mean today on
I
February
didn't say she
26th.
was hideous or disgusting. I said she was not as good looking.
You know, it's that's exactly what that means.
It's not.
That's
It
exactly what that
means
means.
it means she started out super hot and her star faded a little bit. That's all it means. It happens to all of us. Everybody gets old.
But when you start
I
out at
mean, even you
100,
were actually good looking in your youth.
I've seen pictures of my youth. I don't recall that, but I appreciate that. You're trying to
There's a
say that.
picture you have downstairs in the sunroom, or I don't know if it's still there, but it's me, you, and your grandmother at your Syracuse graduation dinner.
Yeah,
I look at that
I was
picture.
like
and go,
27.
well, that's still youth. No, you weren't 27. Did you not graduate college until you were
No,
27?
listen. I went to other schooling, but we don't need to talk about my personal.
Well,
My
I'm just
personal.
saying, when I look at that photograph, I go, Jesus, we were some good looking dudes. I wish I would have thought I was as good looking then as I see myself
I,
as
I
now.
I know what the photo you're referring to, and we
Mhm.
were 27. Okay.
Well, all I can say is,
Yeah.
damn, I wasn't too bad at 27.
Now, if we look back when I was like 15,
Well, I mean, everybody, sometimes people bloom later than others.
I don't
Sometimes the
think you were
bloom
bad.
comes and the bloom goes, like in your case. But I'm just
I
saying.
don't think you were bad. I don't think you were as bad when you were 15. I think I was a little bit awkward at 15.
I mean, Jay, Coke bottle glasses were in the 80s.
Wow.
I don't see why you should think that that was a problem with your
Wow.
looks.
Wow. Did you make fun of me when I had those glasses when I
Oh,
got them?
like every day. Because it was kind of hard not to. Because it looked like you were walking around with microscopes on your eyes.
That's so sad. And you know what? It's amazing to me that I had a nerve to get pissed off at the women for not wanting to get with me. I was like, what the fuck is their problem?
So there's that.
Oh, oh
Did they
God.
not have contacts in the 80s? Is that what the excuse is you're using for that look?
You know what? I had trouble putting them in, and it got very frustrating because you had to learn how to touch the eyeball and do all sorts of stuff. So I gave up, and then I finally pushed through that wall, and that's when I got the contacts. But at a time, I was just too much of a sissy to really just kind of move on past that. But you know what? It's probably better. It's probably better for me because if I would have had contacts by the time I was 15, I'd have probably been having a lot of like babies and shit. And so, it's probably better.
So you're really blaming the glasses as the only reason why you weren't fathering multiple children in your high school years. That's what you're saying? Because I can probably think of at least 15 more reasons, but okay. We'll go
Which
with
is
that.
why a lot of nerve to sit there and say, I don't know how come these women are not getting with me. I'm available late. All right. So moving on, we have Disney's live action casting of The Lion King. Apparently, director Jon Favreau has just announced that James Earl Jones and Donald Glover have both joined the cast of his upcoming live action adaptation of The Lion King as the father and son duo Mufasa and Simba.
I hope they certainly start filming soon. James Earl Jones is not as young as he used to be.
You know, James Earl Jones has been around for like the dawn of time,
Wow.
which is a good thing. I mean, he's been blessed with long life.
Yeah, I'm
But
just
he
saying, let's
seems
not
like
push it. So maybe we can get him in the can, get him in the studio, get some script lines down, and just save that shit up for when they get the animation done. This whole concept of the Lion King live action seems strange to me. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm interested to see how well it works with the candelabra and Cogsworth and whatnot in Beauty and the Beast. I know they did well with the Jungle Book, but Jungle Book also had a human character in it, and Lion King really does not. So I don't know how it's going to seem when you have, basically computer animated lions running around the screen that are supposed to be photorealistic.
you're that's that's exactly the problem that I have with it because the Jungle Book did have a human actor and it worked. It worked for me. I enjoyed the Jungle Book very much, but there are no humans I don't recall in Lion King,
There
and
aren't any.
I just don't know how this is going to look. I mean, you're telling me it's supposed to be photorealistic? Like
Well,
I'm
right, just
supposed
like the
to
Jungle Book.
if I turn on the National Geographic channel, is that what I'm looking at?
Yes, that's the idea. That's what that
And
was
so
supposed
their
to be in
mouths
Jungle
are
Book
just
too.
going to move. Like there's just going to be this like lion
Well, how did it
on
work in
the
Jungle
plane.
Book when they had what's the Panther's name in Jungle Book?
Oh, what is his name? My Idris Elba.
Right. So that's exactly how it's going to work, except they're just not going to have any people.
Shere Khan.
The Shere Khan, did Shere Khan's mouth move when he talked?
Yeah, but I have to watch the Jungle Book again, but it didn't look like it didn't look like reality. So, um, the visual wasn't so photorealistic, if you will. I
Well, I
felt it
think that's
was.
what they were aiming for. Are you saying that they aimed for it and failed, or you just think it wasn't necessarily if they were going for photorealism? Because I think they probably
I don't know
were.
if they were going for that because it seems sort of like a little bit of animation for me, a little bit of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but obviously at a higher level. But I don't
Okay.
recall it being like somehow somebody's just like filming me and my dogs together, and my dogs start talking. It didn't come across that way to me.
Okay.
Um,
I think that was the purpose, but I don't know if it came across that way or not. I
well, I
didn't
mean,
see
the
the movie,
Jungle
so I
Book
don't
is
know.
on Netflix out there for the Netflix viewers out there. I may just take a quick gander, but I mean, Donald Glover's getting a lot of work. He definitely is the flavor of the past 2 years here now.
Well, we're getting that diversity push, and we're just going to make sure all
Oh,
5 actors get the same movies over and over and over again. Only 5 of
oh.
them, but they're all going to be in 17 movies.
All right, you use the word diversity. I'm using the word inclusion. Moving on.
Inclusion, sminclusion,
All right,
a
all
lot of
right. Here
ethnicities
we
running
go.
around my
Okay,
movie.
here we go.
Hank, what do you want?
Well,
What do you want? Do you want to just walk out there and get shot by this
no,
guy?
I don't want to walk out there and get shot.
Well, I'm trying to come up with a
A
plan.
plan?
Yeah.
Like the one to take the money back to the plane and we end up killing Stevenson?
That was Bill Paxton and A Simple Plan. Do you remember that movie?
I didn't like that movie, and I do barely remember it.
Okay. Why didn't you? Do you remember why you didn't like it?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of boring.
Oh, all right, fair enough. I like those type of movies. That also style. What's his name? Billy Bob Thornton in that.
Right. Yeah, I
Anyway,
remember it because I saw it because of who directed it, which I don't even remember now.
was it like the
Um,
Coen Brothers?
no, I think it was maybe I want to say somebody like Brian Singer or something, but
Oh,
it
Brian
wasn't.
Singer
It
didn't
wasn't
do
Brian
A
Singer.
Simple Plan. That's a negatory on that one. Apparently, it was Sam Raimi.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, because I think it was maybe either slightly before or slightly just after Spider-Man.
Hmm, okay. All right. Well.
But yeah, I wasn't a fan of that film.
All right. Well, here, I'm going to give you the next thing here, but just because you said it, it'd be nice if we had interns, don't you think?
Well, we do. They just don't really work. So, I mean,
All
it'd be
right.
nice if we had interns that actually did something. Sure.
Spider Man came out in 2002. A Simple Plan came out in 1998.
Huh. I didn't realize that it was that far before.
Okay. Anyway, Warner Brothers is developing a new superhero movie, Nightwing. Apparently, the Lego Batman movie director Chris McKay is in talks to helm the picture. This will mark the big screen debut of Dick Grayson. I think the script will be written by Bill Dubuque, who wrote The Accountant, which I just saw. Very, cool action movie, if you will. Anyway, what do you think about that, Bill? Dick Grayson coming to the screen.
Here's what I think.
Big Dick Grayson.
Wow, really? Here's what I think. I think I'm getting frustrated with Warner Brothers and DC's inabilities or difficulties in sticking to some kind of schedule because I understand it's not their fault that they lost 3 directors on The Flash. I'm not really blaming them for the difficulties they're having. What I don't want them to do is really tell me anything else in development until they actually get the people signed under contract and filming begins. Because I don't think they're doing themselves any favors by announcing all these projects so far ahead of time before they're ever really completely locked into them. And then it ends up disappointing people more because these properties that they're announcing keep falling apart or keep having these delays and what have you. I don't personally. I'm a DC Warner Brothers fan. I want the universe to succeed. We all know this. I'm on record saying that. But I have lost faith in their ability to shepherd these productions through the various stages of development so far ahead of time. So I personally don't want to hear anything else about Shazam or Gotham City Sirens or Justice League 2 until they start filming. When they start filming, I'll believe it's going to happen. Until then, I'm not so sure.
That's so sad that the way they've been marketing these movies and running this machine of trying to get them out, it's been so flawed that you're just like, I rather you just start filming than to tell me what you're going to do, because every time you tell me you're going to do something, it seems to fall apart multiple times.
Right.
I didn't even look at it from that perspective, to be quite honest with you. I thought it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of cool. Robin, Nightwing getting his own movie. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Is there a year attached to this?
No, because it's at this point we're already still talking about Cyborg in 2020. And so now we're going to start talking about other stuff that's coming after that, and they can't even get Batman off the ground barely. Let's see what happens with Wonder Woman. Let's see what happens with Justice League. I still want Man of Steel 2 before I want to see Nightwing. So I want them to sort of get more on shore footing and get their shit on lock before they start telling me about some shit that's going to be coming out in like 2037. That's what I want.
Curiously, does Disney / Marvel, how far do they go out? They don't go as far out as DC is going. Am I wrong?
Not publicly, but they've said that they've got plans. I think they've announced shit through. I think Captain Marvel, I think, is the last one they announced.
Okay.
Which is 2019, I think.
Yeah, but it's still not like it's somehow 2022 or some other things. They seem to like have a plan, and you're kind of confident that they're going to reach it, but they're not giving you like things that are not even remotely written or firmed up yet. It's interesting.
Well, I mean, again, Marvel's got the sort of wings of eagles at the moment. I mean, they're 14 movies in. They've announced up to, I think, 20 movies. So they've got shit in various stages of production all at the same time, all over the world. But they're pretty much, not to use this in a derogatory sense, but they're pretty much got a well-oiled machine going on over there. And DC, while they are, trying to get themselves up and running, like every other studio in Hollywood, it's not an easy thing to get any movie made. Much less any movie at the budget level of these movies. I just want them to stop trying to sound like we're in the game here. See us, we're in the game. Stop. Okay. Just chill out. Get your shit together. Do what you're going to do, and then announce what you're going to do. Lock people fucking down, and then announce.
You know what would be really nice? I mean, if it was really planned out here, I mean, they have like the Cyborg, the Flash, and the Wonder Woman all together. That's great. But if they're trying to put forth a Nightwing movie, it'd be cool to actually have him locked up and then have him make a little side appearance, as what they seem to do with Marvel, just to kind of like whet your appetite, get you excited about the next person. I mean, that's
right. I mean, it's like the same idea of putting Aquaman and the Flash, little cameos of them in Batman versus Superman. You could argue about the success or failure of those cameos in themselves, but the idea obviously is to start building the appearance of these heroes so that you can sort of
Yeah, yeah.
see the
It's
development.
okay. You know what? I didn't really look at it that way, but that's interesting. I can't say that I disagree with you on that. On your
I
point.
mean, I'm an ardent fan of theirs, and I want them to succeed. I just think it looks haphazard. It looks disorganized. It looks like they don't have a firm grip on what they're doing when they announce things that they don't have solid ground on, and then end up losing momentum on these projects, and then it just becomes even more frustrating. They have
Okay.
a real PR problem, and I really hope it starts, you know, improving with Wonder Woman.
All right.
Remember what I said about seeing a light when you're dying? It ain't true. I can't see a damn thing. Remember what?
That was It Ain't True. Bill Paxton from Tombstone. That wasn't a very good sound wave. I apologize.
It wasn't. It was bad, but I've never even seen Tombstone, so
Oh, Tombstone is like one of those, like, if it's on a Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, I'll just leave it on and watch it. It's just
I know.
so. I'm Your Huckleberry with Val Kilmer. What's his name going to be playing Ego, the Living Planet? Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
I mean, yeah, it's there's something about it. Like, let's just say Dances with Wolves was on television, and you also had Tombstone on television. I'd probably always watch Tombstone because it's just so much fun, so much, and moves so quickly, and it's very interesting.
Right.
All right. So in our Logan news, we've got a couple things regarding the upcoming movie Logan. I guess it's Logan week. Apparently, there will be no post-credit scene for Logan right now.
There was a
That's
big
not-
rumor all over the Twitterverse that there was going to be one because the running time increased after the previews that they put out last week or the week before. Then they went and reclassified it and added 3 minutes to the movie. Now, speculation obviously was that that was a post-credit scene because that's usually what happens in these movies. But then um, James Mangold went on Twitter and categorically denied that there was an end or a post-credit scene. So either he's lying, or the other part of the speculation is that they've added 3 minutes to the beginning of the movie, and it's a prelude, not a post-credit. Somewhere they've added 3 minutes to that movie, and it's not at the end, according to James Mangold. So maybe it's at the beginning.
Okay. I'm surprised that people have been seeing the movie, right? Nobody's just kind of just spoiled it and say,
Well, what happens is, and this is what happened, is that they released the movie without the post-credit scenes so they can surprise people. So when they send people to invites, they don't put the tags in those prints. They add those when they go to release.
"Oh, okay. Oh, interesting."
So,
I feel like you're getting gypped. Like they force you to go back to see the post-credit scene.
well, it's not really gypped if you get a free movie.
You're
How
not
are you
getting
going to
the whole
complain?
thing.
Well,
You're not getting the whole thing.
how are you going to complain though if they send you to a special screening of the movie for free and you get to see it before everyone else? I mean, yeah, go back and see it. Pay your own $8 and see our extra 3 minutes. Okay.
That shit ain't free. Okay. Anyway, so apparently Patrick Stewart is going the way of Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad about this because it seems like an end of an era. And, people have said they're going to retire and never come back before. I'm going to put this in the category of he's not going to come back right now. And maybe there'll be some cameo or bit part in another X-Men property that he will feel compelled to come out of his, quote, retirement, unquote, for. But I understand that Logan, from all accounts of people who've been making the movie, have said this is the button that they want to finish their saga with. And, it seems like an ending, a fitting ending to the character of Logan and probably Professor X too. But, they've got all these other X-Men properties in various stages of, script writing. And, certainly I would hope that there might be some way that they could, if they're going to do the Dark Phoenix saga again, they're going to use James McAvoy. I mean, we've already gotten our old young version together, so that's kind of out of the way too. I just, I hate to think that I'll never see Patrick Stewart as Professor X again. He's one of my favorite superhero movie characters, period. So
Yeah, I mean, sure. I guess it is the end of an era. Um, but if he's going to go out, I'm glad he's comfortable with saying that he feels like he's going out on top with his last movie. I think that's a positive. I'm not really a fan of keeping him around, especially when you have James McAvoy, because it reminds me of like a Star Trek thing where you have like Captain Kirk and then Chris Pine, and then they're always trying to push everybody together, like crossing time streams back and forth. It
right, and
became
they already did that. So we've got
yeah,
that.
no, they did it once, which was fine, but they keep doing it, it becomes very
Watered down.
frustrating. Yeah, it does become watered down because you're always sitting there going, "There's a time loop," and look, the both captains are getting together, or they're different time frames, and it just watered down is a good word, but cliche, trite. It just gets overdone for me. So unless you're going to sit there and just do a completely different timeline or do some other flashbacks, they should be separate. There should be no more old Professor X meeting young Professor X. Like I'm done with that.
Yeah,
But
I'm not
sure.
proposing that. I'm just saying I don't know if there was some kind of flash forward or some kind of I don't know what, but I would like in some way to see him again somehow. That would make sense and not feel watered down.
Okay, well that's fair enough. Okay. Well, I'm very excited about seeing that movie this week. I
Me
mean, I
too.
was kind of railing on the whole idea of X-23, but just from the trailers alone, I'm hoping my excitement is actually validated. But it looks interesting to me.
I'm
So
curious to see because you don't like kid actors, and I'm curious to see what you think of the girl's performance in this, just because I
well,
think you have a bias against them in
well,
general.
yeah. Well, I have a bias against people who can't act. That's what it is. It doesn't matter.
You pretty much
You
feel
don't
like
see me
no
sitting there
child
going,
actor can do that.
Barry White is like the greatest thing on sliced bread either. Here, I mean, I have a bias against people who can't act.
You
Kids
have a bias
and
against
or
child actors more than most other actors.
well, not all of them can be like Dakota Fanning out there. All right.
Okay, we'll see.
But that being said, are you excited about seeing the movie?
I am. I'm very excited about it. I've got to finish watching the. I'm doing the Wolverine retro or rewatch. So I did Origins last week. Tonight I will probably watch the Wolverine because Hubs is out, and that will get me caught up for Friday.
Do you think this movie is going to be a little bit too dark for you?
I think it will be dark. I think it's not going to be too dark. I think it's what do I want to say? Of my feelings about dark movies, I think this one might be a little bit better off, in my opinion, than some other ones that I think are too dark. We'll see.
Okay. All
Because I
right.
think, in general, I think the Wolverine character lends itself to that, and also I also think darkness with heart is not the same to me as just darkness where it doesn't feel like there's as much heart. And I think that they've imbued this one, it seems to me, with a lot of heart.
Okay. Let's move on.
Those were demons. That was a man. Why can't you see that?
You didn't have to kill.
I had to protect our mission.
There is no mission.
That man is dead because of you.
Bill Paxton has a distinct voice.
Yeah, was that Frailty?
That was
That's
a
what I thought.
distinct cadence. That's a good call. Maybe we'll just have an episode where I just put like 20 movie clips together and see if you can name them. Back when you were watching everything. Back when you were rich.
This will have to be pre-2000 then. You'll have to stop at 2000.
Is that what you changed? Is that when
That's
you
when
just said?
That's when I was reborn. That's when I saw the light, Jesus. I saw the light!
All right, here you go. Here's some more ass kissing here. This is, I didn't give you any negativity on some of the topics you wanted to talk about because, I'm trying to be positive for our show and for you. But this definitely is some sort of ass kissing right here with this whole thing here because I am not a fan of Simon Kinberg in the least. But apparently he's being maybe tabbed to direct the next X-Men movie, which is going to, I guess, tentatively titled Supernova.
Yeah, now I'm wondering where they got the name from. Now, obviously, I know what it means in the context of what the story is, but why not just call it Dark Phoenix or Phoenix? What is Supernova used in the books at some point?
Not that I'm aware of, being an X-Men
Okay.
reader. No.
Okay. It just seems like an odd name that they're using to not use the name that it is when they could just use the name that it is and be more familiar to people. But okay.
Well, I mean, the supernova seems to. Let's see here. Supernova definition: a star that suddenly increases greatly in brightness because of a catastrophic explosion that ejects most of its mass.
I mean, she went supernova at the end of Apocalypse, so
She
I
did.
get it, but I just, it seems like Dark Phoenix is such a popular and well-known storyline that why I mean I guess they're trying to trick. See, this is what irritates me. It feels like they're trying to trick people into thinking it's not the Dark Phoenix when it actually is the Dark Phoenix, and why don't they just call it the Dark Phoenix?
I agree. I agree with you. If you're doing the Dark Phoenix story, it's well known. I mean, like Dark Phoenix is one of the most popular comic book stories of all time out there. Why would you not call it the Dark Phoenix? Why would
I
you
guess
shy
the
away?
only reason I could think of for not calling it the Dark Phoenix is because they already sort of did the Dark Phoenix, and maybe they don't want to feel like it's a retread of a story. But guess what? If it's a retread of a story, it's a retread of a story. I guess we're not calling it retreads. I guess we're calling it a reboot. So
Yeah, but Supernova doesn't sit there and somehow spark some sort of general interest. I mean, Days of the Future
Right.
Past was also based on a popular X-Men story. They
Right.
put it in the title. Supernova doesn't sit there and scream anything like, at least to the fanboys. I mean, we know what it's in reference to, but it doesn't sit there and pull out that whole like Logan. They had the whole it's based on the old man Logan story. You're like, oh, it's got a connection to something, but Supernova, it's playing loose and fast. And I don't know if it's really necessary.
Not
for
to
them
mention,
do
there's
that.
already a movie out there that starred James Spader and Angela Bassett, sci-fi
Ooh.
movie called Supernova. So
Ooh, good pull on that one. Did you know at the end of that movie, like they kind of switched bodies to where Angela Bassett and Spader each had each other's eyes. Like Spader had one blue and one brown eye, and she had his one blue eye and one brown eye. Do you remember
no,
that?
but it was on my Netflix queue to watch. So thanks for spoiling the end for me. Actually, I'm fucking kidding because I'm not going to watch it. But the point is, someone who was listening to the show and was going to watch it certainly won't have to do that now.
Oh, fuck that. Supernova's like back when Angela Bassett was acting. If you're just watching that movie now, you've got bigger problems than me.
Back
spoiling
when
that
Angela Bassett
movie.
was acting, she's still acting.
Well, I mean, back when she was like popular.
Or when James Spader was hot, because he was. And he's not anymore. So
I always wanted Angela Bassett to be Storm. I was so pissed when they gave it to Halle Berry. I was railing for months on that shit right there.
I do. But Angela Bassett got her superhero role. She was the scientist in Green Lantern. So you should be happy.
A scientist? I got it. You're pulling my chain. Well done. I almost took the bait. Thank you for laughing. Because I was about to go supernova.
I know. But if you look at the rest of the cast, I think she could have maybe been a little bit long in the tooth for the X-Men universe as they were trying to pull it off at the beginning. At this point, I can understand it. She's an actress that has a certain level of gravitas to her that Halle Berry at the time was lacking. But I always, I love the X-Men. It's kind of like my gateway drug into the world of comic book superhero movies that I wasn't really super, when we went and saw like Blade or those other Spawn movie, those weren't really super interesting to me, but the X-Men really got me into them. And it is fun to go back and watch it now because everybody looks so different. They're so young. And I do kind of love Halle Berry's wonky accent where she sounds African at one scene and then the next scene it totally drops and then the next scene it's back again. It kind of reminds me of Chadwick Boseman, only she's much prettier.
I know we're getting sidetracked on that, but you're right. I agree with you that Angela Bassett was probably a little bit older than what they wanted to go for, and Halle Berry is obviously very pretty. And if you're going to think of Storm as being some sort of like African princess,
And you know what
I
one of my
get why.
favorite cheesy lines from any superhero movie
Don't.
ever is?
Don't.
I am
No.
gonna say it because I like this line, and I know it's cheesy, and I still like
It's
it.
the worst fucking line, and you
It
know
makes
it.
me smile every time when she goes, "Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else." She says it with such conviction. How can you not believe it?
Josh Whedon right now is shooting himself in the face for writing that line. But looking back, the only reason why I was picking Angela Bassett was because I bought into the fact that if you're going to have somebody that's supposed to be a superhero, she looked like she was more athletically gifted than Halle Berry.
Are you trying to say she's thick? She but
No, I'm
dunk, get
just
it,
saying.
dunk.
No, it's not about she looked like she could be an athlete, like she could run. Halle Berry doesn't look like she can like she doesn't look like a gymnast. Angela Bassett looked like she was an athlete. She could run, she could jump. She looked athletic. And I think if you're going to play Storm, you should have somebody who believes that they can sit there and fight. And she looked like she could do that. So I
I
thought
think
she
she's. I mean,
fits.
your athletic term. I mean, Serena Williams is athletic. Okay, I get the sort of body type that you're talking about. Angela Bassett looks a little bit Serena Williams body
It's
like.
not body type. It's not body type. It's when you're going to be doing the action role, you have to believe the person can do the action scenes. I understand you can film it a certain way, but sometimes you just have a look.
I
Like
mean, does
Henry Cavill.
you know the standard of beauty in Hollywood? Does the bitch have to look like she can crush a walnut with her thighs in order for her to look athletic? I mean, Halle Berry is what we consider in this country to be beautiful. Not that Angela Bassett is not, but Angela Bassett's no Halle Berry.
You know what it is? I look past that because I look for the person to sit there and go, if this person is going to be a superhero who's going to be running, jumping, and fighting, their body should look like they're able to do that, and they should have the balance and the grace to be able to do those moves. Not somebody that seems to have two left feet, and when they throw a punch, it looks like some girl throwing a punch. No offense to girls, but
I, I mean, if it's a girl throwing a punch, it should look like a girl throwing a punch. I don't see why a girl throwing a punch has to look like some butch truck driver to throw a punch. The bitch has superpowers. What she need to have a body like that for?
oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, let's just get back to this. Simon Kinberg. Simon Kinberg has got his fingerprints, his little fingers, and all sorts of things here. He was the writer of Triple X State of the Union, Mr. and Miss Smith, X-Men The Last Stand, Jumper, Sherlock Holmes, This Means War, X-Men Days of Future Past, Fantastic Four, X-Men Apocalypse. I find that most of the things that he's written, I am not a fan of. And so therefore, hatred is a bit of a strong word. I'll just say dislike. I don't know about anything that this will be his first movie that he's directed, according to IMDb.
Right.
So I don't know what his skill is behind a lens. But in terms of his writing, I'm out of, let's say, 10 of his things that he's written, I'm a fan of maybe 2. And so,
Well, I've not seen anything of his outside of the Fox Marvel properties,
I
but
thought you
the
saw
Fox.
Mr. and Miss Smith. You didn't
I
see
did
Mr.
not.
and Mrs. Smith?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
But I am a fan of the X-Men and Fantastic Four properties that he's done. So based on those, I feel like I'm in good hands. I don't know about the rest of his stuff, but for what he's done for this universe for me, I've not been unhappy with anything I've seen. So,
Well, what's interesting is, continuing the Simon Kinberg news here, apparently he gave a quote about the Fantastic Four.
right, that they're not going to make another one until they get it right.
Yeah, you want to read his quote?
I think the truth is we would not make another Fantastic Four until it was ready to be made. One of the lessons we learned on that movie is that we want to make sure we get 100% right because we will not get another chance with the fans. Another thing that's not in here that I read in that same article, though, was that he said that the dark tone that they used for Fantastic Four was not in line with the history of the comic and that what fans thought they were getting from the Fantastic Four world is much lighter. Well, we got that version too, and the fans didn't like that one either. So I don't know personally what the fans want from Fantastic Four. It seems like the darkness was not what they wanted. It seems like the Tim Story lightness wasn't what they wanted. So I don't know. Maybe they should just give it back to Marvel, who can apparently do no wrong, and just let them reboot it.
See, I'm not a fan of this quote whatsoever about 100% right, because it somehow implies that they did it wrong before. And I mean, when you tell me that they do this stuff, they're not doing it with the intention of making something crap. So it's not as though they don't
It's
have
the Ryan
faith.
Reynolds apology tour. That's what he's doing. The Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds apology tour.
Yeah, screw all that. You did a movie, the people didn't like it. How about this? It didn't make enough money for you. Okay, so we equate the fact that it didn't make any money that people didn't like it. So face it, do it over again. But you're right, with the original Michael Chiklis, all the fucking Fantastic Four, they got railed on. So they got Josh Trank to come in, and they did it a different way. But I have an opinion that it just wasn't, it was dark. It was, the fact is that it was already on its heels, one, with Josh Trank's behavior, and then two, they didn't care for the casting of that movie. There was a whole big thing with the fanboys and the fact that you cast what's his name? What is
Creed.
his name from Creed? Michael B. Jordan
Right.
as Johnny Storm. There was a whole thing with that permeated the whole thing, that this wasn't the Fantastic Four that they wanted, and it was based on it was casting, and everybody, because that movie got railed on with the Rotten Tomatoes of 8% or whatever it was at the time.
I think it was
And
7%.
What's that?
I think it was 7.
Okay. And it was bullshit at that time, because of all the movies, I'll be the first to tell you, are crap. That movie wasn't on that level whatsoever, but the people did not like. I mean, I saw the fanboys, I followed the thing. I mean, obviously I can't be in the mind of everyone, but people were pissed off about the casting. This is not what they wanted from their Fantastic Four. It would be almost like making Superman Asian or something. And then the people, and all of a sudden it doesn't make 10 cents, but they're just like, I just didn't like the movie. It was too dark and this or that. I think that's bullshit. I didn't find that to be any type of credible thing. I think the Fantastic Four movie was fine. I think there were other things that caused the movie to fail, but I think they were on the right path. So I don't think you run back to the Michael Chiklis thing, because I don't think that's going to work for them either. They had it right.
I think
I don't know what you do differently, Bill, without sit there injecting. Go ahead.
the only thing they can do, which is the only thing that's going to save it at this point, is the same thing that Sony did with Spider-Man. Give it back to Marvel. Give it back to, and I'm not saying that because Marvel deserves it and that Marvel can do something that no one else can do for it. I don't believe that. I believe Marvel has the street cred to have people be less harsh with them when they do it. And everyone wants Marvel to have it. Just let them have it. I don't think they're going to do it badly. I just don't think they're going to do it beyond anything else anyone could ever do. I don't expect Spider-Man Homecoming to be beyond anything Sam Raimi or Mark Webb did. But I also know that the only way at this point, if they insisted on rebooting Spider-Man to make it successful, was to give it back to Marvel. So,
you know, what's going to really suck is when somehow they do another Fantastic Four and they get rid of this cast of Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller, and they bring in a whole new crew, and they do something else, and it makes $100 million. They're like, oh yeah, we got it right. This is what they wanted. It's going to be bullshit. It's bullshit.
well, sure, it's all going to be spin.
I want the same cast, and if you don't like it, then like with your next movie, it's the same thing they're doing with what is it? Justice League versus
Right.
Batman versus Superman. You know
Right.
what? It didn't work out, so we're making some changes because we didn't make enough money. Just do the same thing with Fantastic Four. Just make part 2 and then make your changes, but give me the same cast. I
Jay,
don't think
there's
it has to be
there's
rebooted.
stink level and then there's skunk level of stink. And this movie has a dead skunk level of stink on it. of
You know it's
people hating
bullshit.
on it. I do, but I'm saying I understand that they have a turd, PR-wise, on their hands with continuing this whole thing. It's really better probably for them just to scrap the whole idea and try to start over. Maybe not next year or a couple years from now, but at a certain point, I just think there's really no way they could succeed with this cast with these. I just don't see it. I mean, people hated this movie real bad, real bad.
Do you think here?
Now that one I like.
Do you think we're not gonna? I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, and my sister laughs at me because every time I say this, she goes, "You go off on this tangent and you talk for 2 minutes, and you say you don't want to take long, but you take up all the time anyway." Do you think, Bill, that with some of your main superhero properties, like your Justice League characters, your Superman, your Batmans, your Flash, your Green Lantern, very, very popular characters that have history back from 1960s, do you think that if you change the race of their color, that has an impact on the property?
I will say it depends on the character. For something like Superman, I think, as we've discussed before, it's so ingrained in popular culture that it's so widely known that it would be difficult to racially change that character and have that be considered that character still. I think the
Now,
same
do you
applies.
believe that Fantastic Four, I think it's one of the oldest superheroes teams around. I can't remember what
Sure.
year it came out. Do you think that changing the race of Johnny Storm, one of its most popular characters, Human Torch, from a blonde hair, blue eye person to a African American, do you think that has some sort of effect then?
I think as someone who was an original Fantastic Four fan, if I had grown up with that comic book and I had collected every issue of that series and saw the animated show and what have you, and was really steeped in my Fantastic Four shit, I can see why people would be upset because that's not who it was. That's not what it was. No one's saying or suggesting that there shouldn't be more inclusion, is our word for the day, of different races or what have you in the popular blockbuster tentpole movies, okay? But I do believe there's some legitimacy to the argument that, you know, bring in new characters, make fresh characters, or how about characters? There's thousands and thousands of superhero characters out there, and many of them are of color. Uh, Luke Cage is one of them, but that's just one of thousands. Bring those people into the cinematic universe. But why do you need to change the race of something that has been traditionally established for decades and decades as one thing? And just to say that you're being inclusive. I don't know that that's really something I agree with. I didn't personally have a problem with it because I'm not married to the Fantastic Four the way someone who was originally grew up with it might be. So it didn't bother me, but I understand that it could bother someone because if Superman turned out to be a person of color, that actually would bother me. If Wonder Woman came out with Angela Bassett's thighs, I mean, if she was recast as Angela Bassett, that would upset me. Because Wonder Woman to me is a Caucasian woman.
Yeah, fair enough. I asked you for your opinion. Fantastic Four comic book. They made their first appearance in 1961 of November. So they've been around a long time.
Right.
Anyway, let's move on. I'm not going to give you, well, hell, this is for Superfan audience. That's a car wreck.
Why don't you just slap her in the face? Why don't you hit the slapping in the face sound too while you're at it? Yeah, that's what was for Superfan.
That's what I care about your drive home.
Wow, nice. Really? That's
all
nice.
right. So you're one of your favorite directors and human beings in the world, Mel Gibson, apparently is being courted by Warner Brothers to direct Suicide Squad 2. What?
Again, this is controversial, but I think it's a smart move for them to hire people who have the kind of industry respect as a director that Mel Gibson has. Now, you argue about Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is sort of turning it around a little bit as far as his PR shit goes, but he's certainly a well-regarded director. So if you're talking about giving these properties to people who know what they're doing, have some track record with bigger blockbuster type tentpole type movies, then I think it was smart.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't think anybody can argue with Mel Gibson's directing chops. So, Suicide Squad grossed $745 million. You're bringing on Mel Gibson potentially, who is what is he up for an award for Hacksaw Ridge, or is his movie?
I believe he is up for director. I think so.
Yeah. I think you have a better chance of Obama being elected to a third presidential campaign than Mel Gibson winning for best director.
Did you see Hacksaw Ridge?
Oh no! I'm just saying based on his past behavior. I think that the I don't know if the wounds have fully healed from that.
They nominated him. I mean, they got him in on nomination. That's more than a lot of people could say. Ask Martin Scorsese. I mean,
it's it's what they say about talent sometimes. Sometimes it's like within like crazy person. Was it genius and crazy all wrapped up together?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I really don't want to give any more screen time or air time to this whole Oscar race that we're not even invested in.
Yeah,
but my biggest complaint about the Oscars this year, besides, some of the questionable reasons why they would be nominating in certain categories of people, would be that they have empty slots where they could put movies. That's enough for me to just go, please spare me.
Okay. Hey, Bill, have you ever seen Making a Murderer on Netflix?
No, but I've heard of it.
Okay. Well, it's one of obviously a recent crime drama. There's another one that's actually available on Netflix called Shadow of Truth. I just watched a trailer this morning when I was just trying to find out the latest news.
Right.
Now, I never saw Making a Murderer. I just didn't want to invest the time, and I feel as though it was a little bit slanted, and I don't really know all the information. But I am a fan of crime stories. I watch Snapped all the time on TV show, and so this one seems of interest to me. It's subtitled. I think it's about the death of a 13-year-old girl in a school, and obviously somebody confessed to the murder, but did he really do it? And then the film kind of goes through this whole thing that maybe the murderer is still out there. I'm just kind of plugging that for the people who like that type of stuff. I mean, we're doing plugs now. You did When We Rise, right?
I was going to say, how about instead of watching that, you get ready to set your DVR for When We Rise, which starts tomorrow night.
Monday night. How many hours is it tomorrow night?
It's 2 hours every night except for Tuesday because the president is giving a speech on Tuesday. So it's going to be Monday night, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night at 9 for 2 hours.
Bill, I can only do one. I can only do so much gay. It's either Moonlight or When We Rise. You got to pick. I can't.
Really?
I can't. I can't do both this week. It's too much gay. It's too much gay.
Wow. Okay, we'll go with Moonlight, and then once I watch When We Rise and I call you and go, you have to see this, then you can go back on Hulu or whatever and look it up.
I really hope our president.
I mean, it's not like you don't have all kinds of shit on your DVR that you never watch anyway. Just tape it. And then get to it or don't get to it, depending upon whether you feel like it.
Oh, that's fair enough. You should just tell me to do that. That's easy. I can do that from the click of my phone, pressing my button on my phone.
There you go.
I hope our president just starts making some sort of laws that limits how many gay properties can come out a year, because it's just
really because there's so many. There's so many. They're sweeping the box office. I mean, there probably hasn't been a major gay movie release since probably Brokeback Mountain, which was like 12 years ago. And it's not even a movie. It's a miniseries.
Yeah. Has it been? I guess that's odd. Wow. You're right.
And we've got every kind of other freaking rights movies out there. I mean, maybe the gay people need just a little bit of light to shine on their struggle just like the black people needed Malcolm X and Selma to shine on theirs.
Yeah. When was Brokeback Mountain? Was there a lot of controversy at that time when that came out? That was
2001 or 2?
2005.
Okay.
2005.
I don't think so.
You're like really good with the years sometimes. It's just crazy. You're like what's his name from Rain Man. You just throw out
Really?
years at times. You're just good with that shit. So you don't recall there being controversy when Brokeback came out?
I don't think so. And today I think it's held up rather well considering, its reputation. What it
Why do you
didn't
think
do.
why wasn't there any controversy at the time? I mean, you had two popular actors, Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal. There wasn't?
No, I don't think there was a lot. Maybe there was and I don't realize it, but I don't recall there being a lot of like protests or, a lot of upheaval over it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Fair enough. Anyway, we've got some trailer news. Apparently there was another release, the latest trailer for King Arthur. Did you see it? Him pulling the sword from the stone?
Yes, I did.
Did you love it?
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I have only a modicum of interest in really seeing it. And the biggest selling point for me at this point is that the writer of it is doing some other property that I really want to see, and I can't think of at this time this exact moment. But when I heard that the guy was writing something else, then I thought, well, I need to probably see King Arthur. Would you
Look,
look
it's the
it up?
Flash writer. This is the guy from the Flash, right?
Perhaps it is.
I'll look it up while you're talking. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, Guy Ritchie, I think I've told you this before, is very hit or miss for me. I'm not in love with Man from U.N.C.L.E., but I do own the movie. I will probably rewatch it when it's closer time for Justice League to come out because I do enjoy Henry Cavill a great deal, even if only just to turn the volume down and watch him for 2 hours. So I guess I'm thumbs in the middle. I really hate the Sherlock Holmes movies. I'm really not a fan of some of his other stuff. So
Okay, I know Guy Ritchie is I don't know.
he's very like
be a little,
he can either
he's
do
got
it.
Go ahead.
He can either do it and add a cool flair to it, or he can do it and it's just like, what is this garbage? I don't think there's going to be a lot of like thumbs in the middles.
Oh, I got you. And the writer you're looking for, the reason why you're watching that you have some sort of interest in King Arthur, is Joby Harold. He will be writing the screenplay for The Flash.
Well, there you go. Right.
I think that's why you might want to figure out what he's done. I mean, I saw the latest trailer, and I have to admit, it's sort of grown on me since the first trailer that I saw, because before I said it was dead on arrival. I'm walking back those comments. I think the quintessential Camelot movie for me is Excalibur back in the day. I saw that when that movie is it's just so good on so many different levels. And I don't think this movie will rise to that. And not to mention, I don't know what it is that, like, watching this latest trailer, I know this is like a nitpick, but when they play the music, the pop music type of stuff going on, like the latest hits, along with the trailer from a show that's like fictionally back in the 1400s, it just
right, but that's a hallmark of Guy Ritchie's style, though. He always uses contemporary music juxtaposed with whatever movie he's doing. It's kind of a Quentin Tarantino thing a little bit.
Well, this is a little bit like if you're going with contemporary music with Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, that's fine. But this is like you're going back into the days of like knights and armor, and you're playing like, I don't know, Ariana Grande or Katy Perry along the side with the things. I know it's just a trailer and it's not likely to be in the movie, but it's just annoying, the marketing campaign. It doesn't make me get excited for it when when I watch King Arthur, I'm expecting to be epic, have this feel of like Sword from Stone, You know, not that it's got Lady Gaga singing Poker Face in the background.
You know,
It-
I disagree. I think that's kind of one of the things I do like when they do that is use contemporary music with different periods of film. I mean, Baz Luhrmann's really notorious for that, and you know how I feel about Baz outside of the Get Down. And you know, Moulin Rouge was set in the 1800s, and it was using like, you know, Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Mhm.
You know, Romeo and Juliet used contemporary music, and you know that was set, you know, in the 1600s or whatever. So and both of those movies worked tremendously well for me.
You know what? Those movies, I understand those. I didn't complain about those movies. It worked. It worked. I don't think it works for this one right now. I'm not feeling that connection of what he's picking out with that movie. So
Right.
that I think that's a difference. Those movies that you pointed out, I've got no problem with it. It worked. I don't think it works with this. This is
Okay.
I don't think it's like you're doing Save It Private Ryan and you're playing Poker Face by Lady Gaga. It shit don't mix. These two do not go together. Okay.
We'll see. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't even know if I'm going to see it. I mean, I might, you know, on the last minute decide to go. It'll be one of those things, though. I'm not going to be planning on it like weeks in advance. I'm not like looking forward to it like that.
Yeah, it's also last comment on it. It's got that MTV feel a little bit. It's got that whole. It's updated. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said like, I don't know, my bad, King Arthur. You know what I mean? It's got that whole slick ADD. You know, we got to make these quick scenes, and you know, even when the ones, I don't know. There's something about it that I'm intrigued, but part of it knows that I'm getting some sort of fluff. You know, just a shiny new car. No, but
Right.
whatever. We've got another trailer coming out that's supposed to be coming out Tuesday. Is this the latest or the last trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
Yes, I shan't be watching it.
Uh,
I'm sorry. The movie comes out in like 3 months. I can wait.
when does
I
the
don't
movie
need-
actually come out?
May 5th.
Okay. So this is
I
the
mean-
last trailer?
Yes. I mean, it's only a month, really. A month and 5 days or whatever till the movie comes out. So, no,
So
2
this is
months.
the
I'm
last
sorry.
trailer before the 15 TV spots.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I've already seen enough. I don't need to be sold on the movie. I'm going to the movie, so I can wait. I don't want to see everything in the damn movie before I walk in there. I just hate that. So you can just tell me what you thought of it tomorrow night.
All right. That's
Because I know that you have no willpower. So you'll be watching it, I'm sure.
you damn right. I'll be watching that shit.
Right.
Hails to the yeah.
And then when we get to the movie, you're going to say, this is exactly what you're going to do. You're going to be like, I kind of wish they hadn't shown that scene in the movie or in the trailer, or maybe I hadn't watched the trailer. And I'm going to be like looking at you like, mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I think there was a Logan TV spot that I just happened to leave it on. You know, I'm fixing breakfast, watching television in the kitchen. and
This
you
is
just
what
happen to
happens
look
when you
over.
watch over-the-air television and don't put everything on a DVR. You get spoiled.
Well, that's exactly what's happening here. So
You
I
need to
mean,
put your shit on lock.
are
So you
still
got
putting
spoiled
blocks
for something?
Well, yeah, they showed something. Luckily, I can't really remember it right now, but I remember I was annoyed when I saw it because I'm like, I don't need to see that once again. But you know, this is the push. This is the push that hopes that we, as you told me over one of our phone conversations, that they already got me going to see the movie. Now,
I
for
think
the
I know
people
what
on
it
the
is you're referring
fence-
to.
Now that you're on the
Because-
fence, they need to show you this to pull you in. For
Right.
the people.
I think I know what you're referring to because somebody put it on my Twitter feed. Not the actual show or the trailer or the commercial or whatever, but the description of the thing. And so I think I know what it is, but I don't want to say in case I'm wrong. So it does annoy me though because I didn't want to know that either.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have here, Bill? Before we move on to, wait a second, I gotta get my volume up.
I think that'll do it.
Is that really it? Have we come to the end?
I think so. Have we actually got out of this show with the less than 3 hours? Is that possible?
Fuck yeah. We've been very efficient. I mean, we're getting our shit's tight, Bill. It's
It
tight.
needs to be tight. It needs to be tight because we have diarrhea of the mouth sometimes, and people get
I
irritated.
feel like you're making a sex joke at times when you say it
I'm
like
really,
that.
I'm,
It's like you're like
I
some sort of
really,
pervert.
you know what? When I make a sex joke, I'll be like doing some kind of like snicker or something in the background afterwards. If I don't, then it actually flew right over my head until you mentioned that, and now you've made it all nasty. Thanks a lot.
All right. So I'm on the website that we normally go to for our box office receipts, Box Office Mojo, but it seems like maybe they changed around their format, which seems to be a bit kind of confusing for me, and I can't seem to find the format that I've been used to. But I will try to push through and hope that the information is accurate. Okay?
Okay.
Fair enough. For the number one movie out there, for the weekend, February 24th through the 26th, is Get Out in its first week of release.
Color
I
me
believe.
shocked.
30 million.
The black people actually turned out for a black movie that doesn't have the name Tyler Perry on it. Shut up.
Bill, I will go back to what I said about Split because I'm putting Get Out in the same category. Is that it had some sort of unique quality, something original. Now, I know I've been kind of railing on you about that movie with Nicholas Hoult and Anthony Hopkins called Collide.
Mhm.
Like, there's nothing that seems original that makes you go out of your house to go see it. It's some guy, his girl gets kidnapped by Kingpin, and he goes on a car chase to try to get her back. We've seen this a million times. It's the same old formula, but nothing, no twist on it, nothing. Split kind of tapped into like, this seems original. And what I make my argument for Get Out is that there was just something very cool about it. There's a lot of things that we haven't seen, at least on a trailer, that seem kind of unique. Like a Stepford Wives in a interracial relationship where the black people may be hypnotized. It's just all sorts of things that are going on that just seemed odd for a movie.
So let me ask
So
you a
I'm,
question. Since
I'm,
it
I'm glad it did well.
since it hits like about 3 of your like prerequisites for interest, and it does have something to do with things that you find lacking in other movies, and it's in your genre, your wheelhouse, why didn't you buy a ticket?
I'm sorry, Bill. It's because I'm going to fundraisers for disabled children.
Oh,
Okay, that's
save
why.
it, save it,
Okay,
Mother Teresa.
that's why.
Okay,
That's why.
save it, Mother
That,
Teresa. You have all day before you go to these things at night. God knows you probably left work early on Friday, so you know.
let's be real. And as you always like to point out, I'm in a young relationship here, so I can't be dragging my woman to everything. All right, let's get that straight here.
Everything.
Because
You've seen one movie since the turn of the year.
she has particular taste. You know how it is. You know, with your husband over there, you just can't put on anything over there. You've got to sit there and make sure it's tailored to him, because
So,
otherwise he's going to look at you all side eye and be like, "What
yes,
is this shit?" and walk out the room.
yes, but I'm in an equilateral relationship. Two dudes have very strong opinions about something. When you have a woman in there, she could probably be coerced into doing it because she knows that, her role is to do what the man tells her. That one's
Damn.
just for you, Chris.
You,
If
you
she's
hear that?
listening.
That's the sound of our dropping of our female viewership or listenership.
I'm joking. I hope people realize I'm joking, of course.
I
But I
hear you. I
mean,
know you're right. You're right. There is an influence of going, and it's the same thing that she would say to me, though. She could be like, you know what? I would like to go see this movie called like The Sun, the Moon, and the Stars. And of course, I'm going to be like this. Sure, baby. Whatever you want to do. I get what you're saying. I could play that, but there's a different dynamic. You can only do so many Fast and the Furious or some other shit to where they look at you cross-eyed. So I rather save it for some important shit. You know what I did? I asked her about going to see Logan. I know we're going to go see it twice. So
yeah.
I go, you want to come with us to see Logan in the afternoon? And she goes, "Is that the movie?" And she kind of puts her hands up like the Spider-Man, like you're going to release your webs. And she goes, "Is that movie?" I go, yeah. She goes, I'm not interested. I go, damn.
I mean, she just
She's
shot
just
you
like,
down, huh?
yeah. She's like, no. Now, she saw the trailer of Get Out when we went to see Rogue One as a group.
Hmm.
And I was like, I was like this, that looks real good, huh? And she kind of gave me this look like, yeah, if you're an idiot. I was like, okay, all right. I guess I'll be watching that alone on my
Wow.
Netflix.
Okay. All right. You know,
But anyway,
I feel like you're just not doing enough to really get your girlfriend into like your hobbies and your habits of things. I think you really might need to figure out a way to like sweeten the deal for her. We'll discuss this off the air.
as you know, I'm a whore with the movies. Do you expect her to sit down and watch all the crap that I watch?
No, absolutely not, because I would blow my brains out if I were her if I had to watch all the crap you watch.
Right.
But
So I got to be careful as to what I pick out.
okay, maybe one movie like every 3 months, you know, you pick out a movie that she wouldn't ordinarily see, and then one movie every 3 months, she picks out a movie that you wouldn't ordinarily see. There we go.
Okay. All right. All right.
That's four
Well,
movies a year.
okay.
I
All
think
right.
you guys
That's,
can make
that's,
4 movies a year.
that's doable. So we got 30 million for Get Out. Congratulations to I think it's Jordan Peele. Very cool. Very cool. It's oddly enough that he is also in an interracial relationship, so it's kind of like he's writing from his own life a little bit. Obviously, taking to the extreme. Number 2 movie. For the
I'm just going
weekend.
to put real quick before we move on. I don't know why I say these things on the air, because a lot of things that I say can be taken controversially and are taken controversially by many people. I'm just there's something about the movie Get Out that makes me uncomfortable, and maybe that's the point. But I don't think my uncomfortability is the point that they're trying to make me uncomfortable with, and I guess that's where I'm going to leave it. I don't
I
really know
actually don't.
exactly why, but it's the same. It's kind of the same thing with the apes in the movies. It feels a little bit like that for me.
Yeah, I know. I thought this was your year of blackness.
I know. I am. I'm all up with the Luke Cage-ness and all of that stuff. I'm good. I just, I like to walk around like in a haze sometimes, like the world is what I want to make it, and it kind of puts it up in my face that maybe it's not, and I don't know if I really want that to be drummed into my head for 2 hours. That's, I
Okay.
guess, really my problem.
I got you. But you're going to be comfortable with watching Black Panther next year with some guy walking around in a costume going man ape. That's my superhero name. Is man ape.
Well, yeah, because it's all make believe, and I'm sure this movie is plenty make believe too. I don't know. It's
Just a
hard
little
to
bit too
describe.
close to home. A little too
Yeah,
close to
maybe
home.
I just don't want to think maybe that's the way the world could be. But okay.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Number 2 movie is the Lego Batman movie, chugging along with 133 million. Bill did not like it.
I did not.
Still 133
But
million strong.
we did not cover a piece of news quickly about the next movie that the Lego movie director is directing, which I wanted to hit on, and I forgot what that is. Was that in the notes?
Yeah, we just did that though.
What was it?
It was Nightwing.
Yeah, but we didn't mention the fact that it was written by the guy that did the Batman Lego,
Yeah,
did we?
yeah, we did. There, old
Ouch.
man.
Okay.
We
That's
mentioned it.
messed
Chris
up.
McKay. It was. I
Okay,
read. I
right.
read off the notes.
Okay.
Um,
Never mind.
our number 3 movie, John Wick, Chapter 2, Lionsgate Summit, pulled in some more cash to bring its total to 74 million.
That's a lot of money.
I don't know. It looks like it made about 8 million this week. So whatever. Number 4 movie, interesting, The Great Wall. It made another 8 million this weekend to bring its total for the U.S. box office to 34 million. Now, this doesn't mean anything. The point is, I said this movie would have no audience for fucking America. Matt Damon notwithstanding, but yet I don't have the numbers in for me. It's doing better overseas, just like Warcraft. So I guess it doesn't really mean anything that we're shitting on this movie, correct? I'm shitting on the movie.
I mean, I don't think Matt Damon's going to get another big foreign influence blockbuster to headline outside of the Bourne universe. Probably, like, they're probably not in meetings right now going, we got to sign that Matt Damon up to the next Great Wall movie over at Warner Brothers. Although, you
But
know, they
isn't
might.
well, let me ask you this. Isn't the whole point though, like let's just say they do the Great Wall and it makes I wish I had the numbers in front of me and I'm not going to click around on it looking for it. But let's just say it's making like 200 million like over in China, foreign countries. But it only makes 34 million here, but it makes money. And so do they sit there and go, well, this is the whole idea. We didn't really, we were hoping that Matt Damon might be the inroads to American box office, but it didn't work out, but we still made our money. Does that really put a quash on Matt Damon? Or is the fact is that certain properties outside of the U.S. that seem to have more of influence have more difficulty breaking into our market? This is not simply,
I think you're giving them too much credit for trying to figure out exactly the problem when they're really just going to pull the plug on anything with Matt Damon and call it a day. He's not our guy. Next.
You know what? You just see you're as studio heads. Maybe this is exactly how simple it is because I just think that's just so fucking harsh. Because it's like the Jackie Chan movie. The Jackie Chan movie, whatever he's doing, Railroad Tigers. I bet you it makes a couple $100 million over there in China. But when you release that over here, it's going to make 20 cents because we're not interested in it. But
Right,
that should
which is-
diminish Jackie Chan's shine. You should just know that movie is going to have no play over here. You just know that.
Well, sure, but Matt Damon, I would think they would consider to be, and again, there's really no movie stars anymore, but he's kind of in that quasi period of like the last of the great movie stars, and I don't know if he's really going to be enough to pull people in anymore.
Listen,
I think
you
that's
saw
what the thoughts
the
would be.
you saw the CGI in that Great Wall trailer with those dragons or whatever the fuck they were. It was
Look-
putrid. It was
Look, I just
putrid.
want to say this. It wasn't the dragons. They lost me with the Great Wall. And the people that were directing, it's from the people that directed Crouching Tiger, Hidden Lion, or whatever it's ever called.
Wow, so disrespectful.
That's
I
where
mean,
they lost
you're-
me.
Yeah, I get. They can't even pull you in, and you like lighthearted fare. Come on.
I
I'm
don't
not
even know if it's
watching that
lighthearted fare.
nonsense.
I kind of thought it would look like no fun fare is what I thought it looked like.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Anyway, the number 5 movie is one of your favorites of the year. 50 Shades Darker pulled in another like 6 million this weekend, bring its total to 103 million U.S. box office.
That's pretty decent, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, they already filmed the third one, so it's not like I'm not going to get it anyway, but
Sure. That's where it ends, correct? I think that's based on its 3 book.
yeah, so that would be the final chapter, but then, I would expect that bitch to be writing some more shit considering that this one made so much money, so.
Do you think with the third movie they're going to have the nerve to break it into two parts, or will they just
I
finish
think
it off?
they're going to finish it off. I think they learned their lesson with that with the Allegiant series, actually.
Okay. Isn't that coming to television?
Yes, and now Shailene Woodley has said, I'm not starring in a TV movie, so deuces.
By the way, when we talk about, as we wrap up this show, that's the quintessential for me when you talk about a woman that's playing a role where it requires her to be physical, who just completely looks unathletic.
So are you saying
Um,
you're blaming the failure of the Allegiant series on the fact that Shailene Woodley is not athletic enough?
No, I blame her. The reason why I didn't buy into the movie is because every time she tried to be part of the warrior class or whatever she was, and she had to jump or catch anything, it looks like though she's like you. You're not athletic. Is that fair to
Really?
say?
Are you actually just insulting me to my face?
Well, it's true.
Fuck
birds
you.
gotta fly. Do you
Fuck
not
you,
wait?
old father time. Listen, at least I can stay awake long enough to finish watching a movie. Sure, you might be a little bit athletic and lift some heavy things or whatever, but don't sit the hell down for 2 seconds or it's over.
The reason why
really?
I fall asleep is because I'm very active throughout the day.
Right, whatever.
I'm just saying, can you catch a football?
Fuck off. I'm not going to discuss this. No.
All right. Well, my point is, if you're going to be playing a role, let's just say, like, if the role calls for you to be a football player, then I guess you should look as though you can catch or throw a football.
It's called
That's all
acting,
I'm saying.
ass.
She did. It's poor acting. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it whatsoever. Now, unlike what's her name, Jennifer Lawrence in the Hunger Games,
Yeah.
Whatever that bitch was doing when she was shooting those arrows, I was buying. I was buying everything she was doing. Woodley, I was just sitting there with my eyebrow turned upwards going, I'm not buying anything she's doing. I don't buy that she's jumping this chasm or she's trying to fight this or do this. I didn't buy anything she was selling.
Well,
So
no one else did either, so that's why they're making a TV movie that she's not going to be starring in. So
yeah. I think she started in that movie called The Fault of Our Stars or whatever else like that.
she was supposed to
just-
be Mary Jane in the Mark Webb version of Spider-Man.
Oh, God, I'm glad we dodged that bullet.
Wow, really?
Oh, I would have been on my soapbox for I don't know how long on that one.
Wow.
All right.
Well, I guess
don't know
that's
if
the end of the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's been,
I don't
Nice
know if
chatting.
you had any more thoughts, but
I guess not. That's
So,
fine.
Bill, our closing music, which is also our opening music, runs for approximately 2 minutes and 57 seconds. So we've got about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. So let's wrap it up in that time.
Oh, I can wrap it up before then.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right.
I gotta
Well,
pee.
I'd like to give a shout out to all our listeners out there who tune in from Virginia to London, from Michigan to Ohio to Florida. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm glad that my volume level is at a, I don't know.
I still think it's too low, but we'll see.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, remember, you can keep your emails or phone calls coming to popularcinemapodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on our number, 802-35-PCP35, or you can hit us up on our Twitter account.
At Pop CinemaCast.
And that's all she wrote. Bill, I guess I'll see you coming up to the Hellmouth for the premiere of Logan.
Yep. Are we going to be doing a special show next week, or are we going to save it for the next episode?
I kind of lean towards the next episode because I really don't want to have you thrown on about how Hugh Jackman is fucking hot and Patrick Stewart is great. I just
Okay.
can't. I
Okay.
can't. Wait,
We'll
we can
discuss
do
it
a
next
Logan
week.
thing if it's going to be like 20 minutes.
I can't be constrained. Art and everything that comes out of my mouth is a rare and priceless commodity.
All right, we're out, Bill.
Bye.
We got 50 seconds left. Thanks for listening. See you in a week or maybe 2.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.